All right, what's happening, you beautiful savages? This is Tait Fletcher, and I just want to thank you guys for tuning in. You know, today we've got one of my not oldest, man. I got so many old friends. That's another thing I would say. Don't fucking trust anybody if they don't have old friends. If they're like, the guy I know the longest is a couple years, that's somebody that maybe you want to stay away from. It's just a little word to the wise, a little red flag out there, you know. If a chick is like that, for sure run. Stay away from her. That is an insane person. Absolutely. And if she's not, she just had a bunch of shitbags in her life throughout the years, awesome. Let her rebuild that on her own, okay? You don't need the trouble. At any rate, today, my partner, my brother, one of the best men I know in life, is a coach to me just by the way he walks. Keith Jardine. He starts off this episode, and it is fantastic. Every time I sit with Keith, I love him. I always feel like I'm talking too loud because he is such a soft-spoken, humble dude and one of the finest, smartest guys that I know, and real privilege every time we get to sit down and record something. And then in walks the main star, another old friend, and he's one of my newer older friends because I've only known him 15 years. Man, Brian Reichel. He's the best. This guy, he started, he got to be known as Redban. He started calling himself Redban. And I never knew why, and he explained the origin of the nickname on the podcast. But I met him with Rogan. He came out from Ohio, and he started doing all the videos and compiling data for Rogan and running the website. Or maybe he didn't run his website, but he did all the media stuff. And he really was a great editor, great at putting little stories together, really funny guy. And then he got into comedy years later. And so he's been doing comedy, I don't know, 4 or 5 years now. And everybody knows about Deathsquad. He built the Deathsquad logo. Deathsquad is out of, it's me, Eddie Bravo, Rogan basically walking into a room and them looking at a gorilla like me and Eddie with his ears all chewed up and going, oh my God, why'd you bring that, Opie and Anthony said, why'd you bring the Deathsquad in here? Well, then Brian ran with that shit, dude, and he started a juggernaut of badasses on the comedic field, and he brings in guys to the Deathsquad shows, and so it's this label he's got for all these entertainers and performers, and it's really great. And if you see that name attributed to something, you just know you're gonna be laughing till your guts hurt. It'll be like you took mushrooms. And if you take mushrooms, ooh, I can't even imagine the experience is gonna be fucking phenomenal. So, at any rate, that's who graces us on this episode of Pirate Life Radio, which is soon to be also found on YouTube. I'm gonna work all that out. I want to thank, especially right now, first and foremost, Nate Harris, at Nasty Nate Harris. That man, he's helped put these up when they're horrible, when they sucked, and he's been with me from the beginning of Pirate Life Radio. And since it was Stay Bulletproof, when I blew up that charlatan. Anyway, at any rate, on to this, like who's done the intros and who's really changed the game, and is kind of gets it all fitted together and forms it into a beautiful product, is Eric George, and he can be found at Man No Sober. And he is one of the most beautiful, enlightened beings that you ever get to talk to. I mean, you just look in the guy's eyes and you feel calmer. And he's also a wizard at all things media and putting these things together, and I really appreciate all the work he's done on all these episodes. When you noticed a shift in it, and you go, God, Tait really got his shit together. No. I just met the right guy. Anyway, all credit to Eric. I want to thank my sponsors now. Nuevo Cerveza, nice little microbrew, Mexican lager type microbrew, brewed at Santa Fe Brewing Company. You can find Santa Fe Brewing Company. They got a ton of great beers they brew up there, and they brew ours. NuevoCerveza.com. You can find out more, or you can look at SantaFeBrewing.com and find out more there. Santa Fe Brewing is a little brewery that's up in northern New Mexico in the hills and the foothills of the Rocky Mountains. And it's a great little spot. Great guys run it. And our brand is Nuevo Cerveza, soon to be found nationwide. I think in May, we go nationwide. And you can also find it at Clutch in Venice. We have it out there as well. Anyway, great swag out of there, too. If you're a New Mexican, you want to check that stuff out because We got these Hecho shirts that are off the chain. Anyway, enough about that. I want to thank Concrete Cowboy. You can find them at concretecowboydallas.com. You just Google Concrete Cowboy and look at nightclubs, man. We got up and cracking for 3 years. We just had our 3rd anniversary a month ago or so. And we just celebrated a year anniversary on my partner Rico Taylor's birthday, which was on the 12th of November in Austin. So we've been running 3 years in Dallas, strongest team in the game, man. And a year in Austin. Dan and Carly run that down there. And it's just a badass, fun-filled nightclub. Beautiful women, cool dudes. Whoever you go in there and run into, man, whether from the door guys to the bartenders to the bussers to the waitresses, everybody is solid as a fucking elbow cast, man. Great fucking people there. And if you're on the team and you're listening, you got my respect and my thanks, and I can't wait to see you next. We're going to be opening in Houston shortly, like in maybe 5 weeks. And I also want to thank Clutch. Different Clutch than the Clutch in Venice. Clutch right next to Dallas, Cedar Springs Road. And that's great all day football, beer, food, whatever you need all day long. Come in there and get your hangover brunch on. We got it all. It's cracking down there. Concrete Cowboy. BloodyMaria.com. I don't drink, but I bet it's delicious with vodka. But I do drink it straight, and it's made with chilies it's green chili from the Rio Grande Valley, and it's fantastic. Great, spicy little Bloody Mary mix, and I just drink it solo, and I love it, man. It feels cleansing. It feels like you're enriched and like nourished by it. Maybe not as nourished if you drink it with vodka, but you'll feel more nourished, I bet. Give it a try, BloodyMaria.com. You can find them all over the place, Walgreens and Costco's and wherever, man. I want to thank UndisputedFitness.com, my home in Santa Fe, for all things that are badass. Whether it's strongman workouts, adaptive, man, I got to talk about these adaptive athletes. Lorenzo Hernandez, he's one of the best, man, and he's up there. You can find him at Adaptive Coach. And he runs this troop of dudes in wheelchairs that are there getting it and that are just inspiring. One dude I think is ready to be a coach even. And they're badass, man, and it's just a different level, you know. A lot of people are like, use that term like, ooh, adapt or die. Motherfucker, these people are in wheelchairs. They have adapted. They've looked at death, and they've gone, you know what, not for me. I'm done drinking myself to death, drugging myself to death, or whatever the thing is, or maybe just done feeling sorry for myself after an accident or whatever. The kind of heart and courage and just ferocity that they attack life with is unsurpassed. You just don't see it very often. And these adaptive athletes, man, I got the highest regard for, and they're badass. And so Lorenzo's starting a deal. Hit him up there. And if you know somebody that's looking for that or needs some inspiration, hit up Lorenzo at Adaptive Coach. UndisputedFitness.com is where you can find all of those. There are a bunch of experts there. Ruben Rivera just got his black belt. Nate Harris just got his brown belt. Heather McKernan runs a CrossFit program there. And badass coach, fucking great technician. So at any rate, whatever you need that's up there. And also that's where the Caveman Coffee Cave is. First Caveman Coffee standalone spot is there at Undisputed Fitness. So UndisputedFitness.com. Check them out. I want to thank my home in Venice, man, Deuce Gym. Badass dudes. They're so inspiring, and they really lead the charge as far as fitness and consciousness. You know, you might want to read Logan's blogs up there at deucegym.com. It's just amazing. And if you want inspiration, it's no further than your fingertips all day long. And that's really, you know, you'll notice in these, the only people I mess with, people that are inspiring, that are trying to enrich the world, man. I really try to surround myself with that stuff, and my life gets way better for it. I would be empty without all these people that I mentioned. These aren't just sponsors like, it's a cash involvement. It's not like that, man. Like, these people sponsor my soul. They nourish me, man. And so I just want to share that with you guys. So at Deuce Gym or deucegym.com. Also, if you're into flotation lab, or flotation kind of experiences, the float clinic at floatclinic.com is really a great spot, man, down in Torrance. And of course there's the float lab in Venice also. I haven't been there, but the guys at Float Clinic are really exceptional, man. At Float Clinic on Twitter. And for all my fish oil needs, which I can't get enough of, for as far as reducing inflammation, balancing out my omegas, which if you live in America, you kind of have wacko omegas if you're a meat eater, probably, because they poison our beef before they give it to us, unfortunately. Sorry you didn't know that, but that's the truth. So I balance out my omegas with added fish oil in my diet. I get it at onutritionals.com. Original Nutritionals, if you Google that. onutritionals.com or originalnutritionals.com. God, I got to check that. Anyway, is that like 8 minutes of ads? That's enough. Let's start this goddamn episode. All right? Are you with me? Let's fucking go, right? All right. Thank you.
The big Tait Fletcher.
Powerful Tait Fletcher.
Is a real alpha male.
Weightlifter.
He's a stuntman.
Movie star.
Robust, enthusiastic individual.
He's huge, by the way. He's like a monster person.
One of the sweetest guys I know.
He's bigger than life.
Actor.
Entrepreneur.
A fighter.
The jiu-jitsu technician.
He's also bald and he has all these tattoos. He's just a big fucking man.
A man, a myth, a legend.
Tait Fletcher.
Tait Fletcher.
Tait Fletcher.
What's up, Tait Fletcher, you fat motherfucker?
Tait Fletcher. Tait Fletcher is
Tait Fletcher.
Teddy bear. Motherfucking Fletcher, ladies and gentlemen.
That's Tait Fletcher, everybody.
The great Tait Fletcher. Tait the animal Fletcher. Tait the savage Fletcher. Always moving. There's no stillness with Tait Fletcher. You will find no dust.
Tait Fletcher's in the house, ladies and gentlemen. He just said the word erection.
Tait Fletcher.
Tait Fletcher's in the fucking house. Tait Fletcher!
Tait really blasts out some serious hardcore truth bombs, and I think you're really going to enjoy it.
And welcome to Pirate Life Radio. I'm here with Keith Jardine right now. We're just setting up shop at our new studio at the Comedy Store on Sunset Boulevard.
At the Comedy Store. Pretty nice, man.
It's really the epoch, the center, the pyramid of all things comedy, the historical aspects of this joint. And we're up in the catacombs of it, which I'd never been in some of these rooms, and there's like ghosts in here for sure.
Yeah, cool. I got to see the secret restroom.
Like David Letterman was banging midgets up here, I think, at one time. Like there's a lot of, the
Seriously?
secret restroom up top.
Yeah.
Every part of this place. Kinnison, I mean, God knows, man.
No way.
It's tremendous. Yeah. This whole place, the history here is awesome.
So you don't want to take a black light to this place?
I don't think so. I feel like now you said that, and I had my hands on this table, and it feels weird. Like I don't know about that.
Yeah.
It's good to see you.
Good to see you, man.
I get mad though that you don't call me before you come to LA. I got to find out, like from Callan, and he's like, "Yeah, hey, I saw your brother on the plane, man. It was really great to bump into him and all that." And then I go, "Hey, where are you?" And then it ends up you're here for days.
So here's a funny story. I get weird, man. I've been trying to get weird. I had an audition, you know that. I'm trying to method in that a little bit. So
Is it because of your movie with Joaquin Phoenix, and you're like, Joaquin gave you some tricks, and now that's what you're gonna do?
I don't know. I need something. How's that?
All right.
I'll try that. So I'm walking around talking to everybody in a southern accent.
For the last couple days.
For the last couple days.
And so that's why you didn't call me, because you don't want to sound funny?
Exactly.
I would go right with it. That'd be fun. You fucking call me next time.
God damn it, Tait. What's going on over there?
I'm good, Keith. I'm good. How are the hills in Tennessee treating you? I go through the whole thing.
Yeah, I'm checking out of the airport, talking to people next to me on the plane. I never talk to anybody next to me, and I'm like, I'm going for
You're
it.
torturing them. They're trying to go to sleep. You're like, no, partner. Now, what do you think about this Obama?
Exactly. Goddamn ISIS.
So listen, were you in Albuquerque for the fights? I feel like we got to get this out of the way. We can't not talk about it. It's the biggest event that's happened in UFC history. Where were you when that happened? You and Jody are at Twin Peaks, right?
We were at Vernon's, actually. Jody had a little
Vernon's had it?
She had a little parents saying I was there. Most happy, most elated I've ever been during a fight. I remember I picked Jody up in the air just like she won a fight, and it was just like I never felt that way after watching a friend fight before. It was just amazing, man.
It's amazing. It was really surreal, man. I was watching. I periscoped it. You should watch my Periscope.
Yeah,
You'll love it.
Yeah. Did you see the thing about it though? Like, did you see Winklejohn?
Yeah.
Like what? No big deal. What?
You see Izzy kiss him?
Yeah. He looked at him like, what the fuck are you doing?
He's like a serial killer, Mr. Winklejohn.
Oh,
It's like you don't kiss him.
Like he knew she was gonna win. Like why are you guys acting like this
he
for?
Was he's so positive, that guy. And what a thing. He's been with her since she's 13 or 15 or something like that.
Yeah, I started training with them, and I think 2002. I started training with Wink, and Holly was there, and I actually sparred with Holly a little bit when she was a little girl then. Well, she's probably in her early 20s. I don't know.
I don't know. The first time I sparred with her was maybe 03, 05, something like that. And she was dating Joey at the time.
Yeah.
And it was at Wink's old place. and I was just moving around because, like, here's this gorgeous blonde-haired girl that's also dating my friend who's a savage, and now I have to kickbox with her, and I have to do 5 minutes or whatever. And so we're just moving around. I'm like, cool, it's a girl, and da-da-da-da-da, and moving around. And she fires a straight left, bam, and all of a sudden there's just blood in my mouth, and my nose is leaking. I was like, and I just smiled, and I was like, all right, fair enough. Like, I got the message. Like, she was just, she's like, you're going to work with me, goddammit. Like, you're not going to do this.
My recollections in the early days is if like I didn't know what to do with her, like you would hit her and then she would get mad and start coming at you and like, okay, now these are punches that will knock you out. Right. Like, what do? Like, you got to hit her back. And it's kind of a weird, but it's a girl, and it's like a weird, like, I hated that. I hated it.
It's not comfortable for sure. I like it better when she'd be working angles. She'd be working on something specific, and I'm like, oh, cool. She's just getting outside, and then I'm going to take a hammer in the body or whatever, And I was like, all right, that's good. That's better.
But if you follow, I think a tweet or Instagram, something like what that fight means to me is there's not a better human being that could have the title than Holly Holm. No. Nobody works harder. No. Nobody, her ego will never take over her. Like, she'll always be the same sweet person that she is. And I just love that the good guy won,
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I thought it was really wonderful, man. Like, what Ronda represents for the sport and what she was, and to see a woman go to those heights and take it. I mean, she really drug women's MMA right to the top of the viewer screen. Like, nobody was looking at that before Ronda Rousey came along, and what she did was fantastic, and her attitude, her swagger, her all that stuff, excellent, and an excellent champion, and then to see what happened with like. I mean, really, like the purest, most wonderful representation of humanity. Like, and it doesn't take anything away from Ronda. What I'm saying, like, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that there's maybe not a better human alive than Holly, and to see her, like, she walks it like she talks it, and she's just as sweet and as kind as anybody can be, man. And to see her as a representation of, like, here's the woman that you would like to have, because she doesn't get in shape. Like, it's all that stuff. It's like, for me, walking into Jackson's, you and her are the leaders of that gym and the hardest working people there. There's nobody really, and you didn't work as hard as Holly. Nope. And you worked hard as fuck. Yep. But, like, nobody worked like her, man. And that's a girl that's never getting into shape. She's ready. And for people that have to take a camp and take 8 weeks and go, oh, well, get in shape for 3 weeks, and that, like, you just wasted time when you technically could be getting better. Holly's always getting better. And that's the thing. I was just looking awe at her. I'm like, I don't know how she does it, man.
Yeah, man, she's just an amazing athlete. That's the thing, and she's been working at this MMA for a few years now, but she doesn't even, like, you're talking about a rematch with Ronda, and what's going to be in 6 months? Right. That's going to be 6 months better. Holly Holm.
That's what I thought. I was like, Dana wants to give Holly to Ronda right now because he knows how good that Holly can get. He's watching that, and he wants her to have the best option. That's what I thought, because she wasn't the number 2. Miesha Tate was. Yeah. And I was like, I said, that's a trip that Dana's.
Does that rematch suck, though?
I'm like, why a rematch? Like, John Jones Gustafson never got rematched. Like, there's a lot of things that never get rematched. Like, what are you doing? And Dana got on and he made excuses for Ronda and saying, and I'm like, that's not an impartial guy that's just standing on the sideline that owns the promotion. That's like, what are you, her coach now, or are you what's going on here?
Yeah. Exactly.
It looks shady as anything, man.
Even talking about game plan things that she did wrong. But anyways, that rematch really, really bugs me because, like, it's not like it was a close fight that went. I mean, I see sometimes like the 5th round.
It was
kind of
definitive.
Every aspect of the game. Holly took her down. Yep. Holly defended the armbar. Holly defended the clinch. Holly beat her boxing. Holly did everything.
God, the way she took the center when she walked out, dude, and she pounced out to the center of the cage, I was like, oh, yeah, girl. I was like, you just live right there. Stay right in that center. But then even to where she'd get her back towards the fence, I was like, got to move. Let's go. Let's cut up. And she did. I mean, even when she'd get clinched there, she was safe. She'd kind of crow cop her in the throat and then move out. And man, impressive.
She made Ronda fall on her face by footwork and moving out of her way.
We've seen 2 other people do that. Anderson Silva, Lyoto Machida.
Yeah.
Anderson did it to Chris Lieben. Chris Lieben fell down like 4 or 5 times in the first round when they first fought.
Yeah.
Anderson's first fight in the UFC, and then Lyoto, he sidestepped the double leg from Tito, and Tito just got a face full of fence, and there was no Lyoto there. Only times we've seen that. And she made her, it's crazy, the kind of footwork that is. And Ronda, I think, is an excellent MMA striker. But it is checkers and fucking chess, man, when you mess with the 6-time world champion. And then also I want to give...
But that's amazing recall, though. But how does that warrant a rematch right away? Wouldn't it be more interesting to see Holly fight Misha and then Ronda fight some girl and work her way back up and like watch the champion work her way back to the title fight and all that? It's so interesting.
That's the thing, is like have her. She needs at least 2 fights before she goes and goes for the belt again. Why should she get right back in there? That doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
What I really hope too, man, when I thought afterwards, I saw, really pissed me off, man. I saw all these crummy memes about Ronda that were really ugly and mean-spirited, and they're all over the internet, and God damn it, shame on you if you giggled at one. Like, it's awful. Like, these are people at the pinnacle of the sport that are out there representing themselves in a way that most people that are watching can never, ever appreciate. Just appreciate it for what it is and go on from there. But, like, this thing, when people lay themselves out like that and people ridicule athletes out there, it's just sickening to me. And I saw even a guy, and he was a fighter, I guess. I think he's certainly not in a warrior class, but he was on one of my friend's threads on Facebook, and he says they showed a meme of her, and she's kind of out, like wobbly still, Ronda is, and he's like, yeah, I love seeing her. I love just seeing her out of it like that. And I go, why would you like to see somebody diminished like that? Why does that please you? And he goes, I just don't like the way she carried herself and this and that. And I'm like, so you want to see her hurt though because of that? That's like, what are you, ISIS? That's ridiculous, man.
That's like what you said right on about warrior class. Like, I don't like the way she carried herself a lot of times either. Like, I don't like how she didn't shake hands after fights and stuff like that.
But I don't want to see her get hurt.
No, man. And you got to have that respect for what she did, like you said earlier, and what she did for the sport. And she went in there and she fought the Warriors fight, and she got knocked out. You know, that's a chance you take. So what?
Yep.
But then you got knocked the fuck out and all that shit. Like,
all that stuff, man. It's just like, ugh. That's why I say fuck fans.
Yeah.
You know what? Like, if that's what you guys think fans are, then you can save that
These
shit.
are people that's never taken risks in their lives.
Never taken a risk.
Yeah.
It's that deal between spectators and people in it, you know? It's like cool, man. Like, whatever, be a spectator, but understand what that is. Like, and the things what that is that you have no idea. You don't have any clue what it's like to roll the dice, man. When you're like, I don't know about the outcome. You've never rolled the dice. The only time you roll the dice is when you fuck your old lady without a rubber, you dummy.
Yeah.
Like, stop it, you know?
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah.
But
they're just watching the soap opera. They're not watching the Warriors. Like, man, I'm not even the slightest bit bagging on American fans, but you go to Japan and watch fights.
Sure.
Like, it's just a whole different culture out there. It's quiet. They're appreciating every little subtlety, every little movement, and each person out there is like a god to them. Like just because they know
what they're doing, and they know what they're not doing. They're like, I'm not putting myself out there like that. I'm not training like that. You know, it was a cool thing. That Meta Challenge was this weekend, and Ruben competed in that. It was like the semifinals of the thing, I guess, and he did great, man. But it's like being in that room of that show, and it's just athletes in there, and everybody's silent, man. And then if something happens, they appreciate what happens. They clap,
cool.
and it's just quiet. And it's a room full of savages watching 2 high-level guys grapple, and just pure appreciation. And there's something really beautiful about that.
Yeah.
It's cool.
It's really cool. Just whoever, and a lot of people do their things, but whoever you are in whatever role of life you're in, you've got to take that chance and do that one thing that makes you super scared, and to plan for it and to go do it, man. That's living life.
Yep. It's that thing you always say, like that seek death.
Yeah.
Is that like, look towards that thing that's going to kill you and let yourself get rebuilt every day. Because that's the thing a dude told me one time. He goes, the you that walked in the door is gonna suck. That's gonna fail. You have to be a new you every day. You got to walk in fresh, man. You got to have fresh eyes, fresh ideas, and move towards that. And that's those, like, people are like, what makes the difference in your life, you know? And for me, what's really like I see crystal clear is just who you're around, who you surround yourself with, and what I look for in people is the people that take those risks. Like in the room right now, Brian Redban is here. Brian Reichel from Joe Rogan's podcast. He's his producer. He's the creator of Deathsquad Network. And but when I met Brian, the first time I ever met him, they pulled up it was the first time I started riding in limousines, and him and Rogan pull up in front of my apartment and take me to the airport because we're gonna go. I don't even know where we're going, if we're going to Vegas or Boston or where, but finding out stories and there's like guys like him and like Ari and like going around and going, wow, Brian was just a kid that was of interest, that was on the internet and that was making videos and doing funny stuff and creative shit and in a smart way. And Rogan was like, hey, do you want a job? Like, you could be like a videographer, or we could make a show, or we could do, and he's like, sure. And like the balls it takes, like I come out of Michigan and it's like Ohio, and that there's not a ton of options for what you're going to do, or there's certainly not dreams like that where you're like, this could happen, like that didn't seem present when I was growing up. Like, ooh, you could have and to go, yeah, fuck it, I'll come out. I'm just like, hey, that was instantly right then. I was like, that's a different level of human. I like that. That's what I want to be around. I want to be around guys that know how to throw those dice like that. And they're like, yeah, I'll try. Because that's really the bottom line is like the more, there's people that are like, I'm willing to try. There's people like, I just got to play it safe. I can't even try. And that's awesome, man. Like if you, that dude, like I'm not mad about that, but it's like, I just can't fuck with that. Like I don't want it, because it makes me just want to sit on the couch then. If everything is acceptable, if good enough is good enough, I got to say good enough isn't. Good enough sucks,
Yeah, it's all about, I will get real philosophical here, but just finding out who you are, who your being is, what makes you happy. Like if whatever life you chose that sincerely makes you happy, then that's great, man. But like you said, like we find all these avenues. I'm getting weird now. It's like finding all these avenues to discover more of who you are, and that's what it is. Fighting was it for a while. It only got me a little bit. Like I don't think I got enough out of it.
Isn't that a trip?
Yeah.
That's what I was saying to somebody. I was like, yeah, you get a black belt. And it's like, cool. And then there's people that do that, and they're like, yeah, great. And then it's like there's a mastery of that happens. There's like, you could go so far with that. And then I'm like, I want to get a black belt. And the next thing, it's like almost ADD mixed with an addiction for excellence. And like you're looking for, how can I get great at this thing? How can I get great at this thing? How can I get, and
but what's it about? Is it about being great, or is it about if the end of the journey is your goal, like you're never going to get there.
Right.
It's the journey.
Right. Yeah.
Watching these comedians today, man, stand up and fail and bomb.
I swear, man, I appreciate it so much when you see guys that suck. Like the guys that do 2 years and 10 years, I'm like,
I'm right with you on this, man.
I'm like, it's cool. Like, but you're already, it's almost like you're sandbagging. It's almost like, it's like, okay, you've got 15 amateur fights. How about you take a pro fight, fucker? Like, quit beating up people that don't know anything. And like, when you see a guy that's like, yeah, I've done this for 3 months, and you're like, oh fuck, and he just sucks all the dicks up there on stage, and you're like, kudos to you, like,
yeah,
just
man,
like right on, brother, like and stick it out, and because then those guys that stick it out, they get strong, they get fire,
Yeah, man, that was beautiful to watch.
Yeah. Mr. Reichel. Do you even go by Mr. Reichel anymore, or is it strictly Redban at this point? I know.
We're going to tag. Are we going to
tag?
You're
going to tag in over here.
Tag me in. Tag me out, man.
Reichel for people that when I'm not working, I guess. Like if I meet somebody,
I'm like, maybe Brian should just change his name legally, and it's just Redban, like Madonna or Bono or something like that, right?
Yeah.
The Edge.
Yeah. What's weird is that when I first started saying Redban,
I like the new hats, man. Those are great.
Oh, thanks, man.
Yeah, they look great.
Yeah. When I started saying Redban first, though, it was like, alien to me. But now it's like somebody says Redban, I'm always like it's almost like, oh, that's my name.
Well, it's really weird for me because when I was gone for a few years and then came back and people were calling you Red. They were like, "Oh, where's Redban?" I'm like, "Redban," and because I remember when you were telling me one time, you're like, "Well, Redban is it's the thing in the movies that," and you're explaining where the name originates from.
Right now, you hear Redban trailers all the time.
Right, never heard it ever before. You told me that, and I was like, I was like, that's a trip, and then everybody's just adopted it for your name. I'm like, no, where's Brian? And they're like, Brian? Like, I was like,
yeah, I remember when we first met. You were saying like when you pulled up, we were in the limo. I remember that day immediately. I remember your beard game back then,
which was like a goatee with stripes cut in it.
Yeah,
right?
It looked like an anime of you screaming like "hello," like your face actually looked like a
I don't know
comic
where that
book.
came from.
It was interesting. No, it was always fun seeing your different transformations of your hair, your beard.
Yeah.
And it was so interesting hanging out because we hung out a lot. Like
all
every
time,
weekend,
dude.
we would be in a different
for
city.
like 3 or 4 days every week, right?
You'd torture me all the time by like, hey, come over to my room, and then you'd like come out in your boxers and just like do jumping jacks.
It's not like you didn't love all that. I remember times in Tempe.
What's that?
He made that up. I don't do jumping jacks, you guys.
I have video of it.
Really?
Yeah.
Dude, somebody who showed me, they tagged me in one of those 10-foot screws videos.
Yeah.
Fucking hilarious.
Dude, I was looking through my Flickr, I think.
I look good as fuck in that wig. I just put that wig on a couple weeks ago.
Oh, yeah, 10-foot screw wig.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's really good.
We should do that again sometime.
We should do a whole show.
10-foot screws.
We
had a fake.
we should get a
to understand
set
for
list.
the people at home, we used to play a fake band. We were in Denver, Colorado, and
first time I met Ari Shafir.
Yeah,
was there
time,
too.
And we decided to go wig shopping.
And by we, it's me, Eddie Bravo, Brian, Joe, and maybe Ari. But no, we didn't meet Ari till later that night because I met him in the wig, and then he was freaked out when he saw me without the wig because he thought that was my shit.
That's right. And so we were like walking around. We went to a wig store for some reason.
Yeah, we were on 17th Street Mall or one of those walking malls in Denver, whatever's downtown there.
Yeah, and we all decided to buy wigs, and then we decided to make a fake band up called 10-Foot Screws, which was based off 9 Inch Nails, because I was like, it should be like 10-Foot Screws.
Good.
And then we went on stage. Like Rogan, actually called us up on stage. It was like, guys, it's so weird.
Yeah, where's the after party?
This band is in town right now. It's one of my favorite bands ever. And then he called us up on stage as this fake band, and the people in the audience didn't know us, like podcast style.
No.
They had no idea who we were.
Not a clue.
And so we went on stage as this fake band, and everyone thought we were a real band.
Eddie was really into it too because Eddie's a musician and he loves all that attention and everything else. And so he goes out. And the funny thing too about it is that there was people that were like, no, I've heard you guys. Like there's people that dug that. All right, so Eddie, I remember Eddie was looking for a name, and he's like, I got to get a name. What should my name be? And I'm like, your name is Eddie Bravo. That's the best rock and roll name ever. You like that was what people would want to make their name up to be if they wanted to be in a rock band.
Absolutely.
Nikki Sixx, Eddie Bravo, yes.
Yeah, exactly.
That was awesome.
Eddie, it's so interesting seeing old school Eddie, now new school Eddie.
Yeah, pre-tattoos.
Pre-tattoos. I was thinking about that the other day, how Eddie used to be one of the most amazing people to go to a bar with, just seeing he had such a game back in the day, like him and Mike Young, they really just knew how to talk and talk to women and
and then crazy Larry.
Crazy Larry. Crazy, what's his face? That
Chambers?
Yeah. No, not Chambers. Fucking the dude that's all in prison right now.
Gerald Strebent?
No.
I think Gerald's getting out, maybe.
No, I'm not talking about Gerald. I'm talking about shit. I can't even think of
He's in prison right now.
Mark. Shit. Mayhem Miller.
Oh, Jason Miller. Yeah.
It's crazy that guy. I saw him recently here at the Comedy Store.
Really?
Yeah, and he was a little interesting. I'll just use the word interesting. And then out of nowhere, he just went off on me on Twitter, and I was like, "What the fuck?" And then I wrote back, "You with the good ideas, always with the good ideas." And then literally 6 hours later, he was arrested for attacking a cop. I guess police went to his house recently, and he threw things at him. And I think in California there's a third strike rule, and I think he's passed those strikes. I think this.
Well, there used to be. I think they rescinded the third strike rule. They found that it didn't work.
Oh, really? They took that away?
But it's not good. anyway, and he's been in a lot of trouble, and he's
unfortunate.
He's a beautiful dude, and at his best, and frightening and terrifying.
He really freaks me out.
Yeah.
Like he freaked me out last time I hung out with him.
But what a personality! Who could have had a bigger career comedically, or he's fantastic in all those ways. He had that show Bully Beatdown for a while, and I was like, man,
but he seems more like a bully than
right.
You know, like that's the weird thing about that show, because
he flipped, right?
Yeah, he definitely had to have flipped, because the old him was always kind of crazy, but he kind of was, still together to the point where he was like my friend. I thought. But now it's like, nowadays it's like I don't even know who I'm talking to. It's kind of like Brody Stevens.
You keep an eye on him.
Yeah.
Is Brody that way?
Well, no, I mean anyone that has any
Brody,
kind of
Brody jumped on me on Twitter once. I was like, hey buddy, let's not get dumb. Let's just relax, pal.
What is going on, Tait Fletcher? Mental illness is really a thing that I have to deal with all the time because of the girls I date. It's something I never really had to deal with in Ohio as much that I do with Los Angeles.
Right?
Out here, everybody I talk to,
why is that?
It's the entertainment industry. When it comes to comedians, when it comes to actors playing make believe or anything.
Can I tell you? Since I moved to Venice, there's less of that.
You think?
Hollywood is bad.
Yeah.
Like, this is where it's centered for sure.
We
get sparks of it down there, but it's like it gets absorbed by the ocean.
No, Venice is the people that
the crazy people in Venice are on the street.
Yeah,
like that's what's happening there.
Well, it's also Venice.
The crazy people in Hollywood are on trust funds.
I follow Venice 311 on Twitter, and it makes me never want to go to Venice again.
They're focusing on the dark side.
Yeah, but that dark side's intense.
Or maybe
I follow Burbank 311, and you know what it is? It's like, guy got pulled over for speeding.
But that's because people would like people to move to Burbank.
I hope
to increase the revenue and everything that happens in Burbank. We don't want anybody else in Venice. It's crowded enough.
So you say there's plans.
I'm saying that there's plans there.
Tower 7, bro.
It was like this, bro. How about remember when we had Carmageddon?
Yeah.
And they shut down the 405, and they're like, dude, it's going to be wrecked everywhere. It was the most peaceful days in Santa Monica and Venice. It was beautiful.
Yes.
You know why? Because all those fuck bags from the fucking valley got to stay in the valley. Sorry about it, guys. You're not allowed into the good part of the city anymore. You got to stay in the valley.
Right.
And it was awesome. It was freedom. That's what that was. They should put a wall up. You know what, Trump? Stop that Mexico shit about, I'm going to put a wall up and all that kind of stuff. Do it right across the Hollywood Hills so everybody in the valley has to stay in the valley. You made your choice. Have fun.
I agree. I think that Venice is the best place to have a family. I think it's...
The Shoreline Crips are raising a lot of good families down there.
Tait, it's easy to say that Venice is awesome when you're Tait. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're Brian Reichel. I don't even know my last name anymore.
Here's what would happen if we fast forward a little bit and we go on, okay, we got Redban come down here. Pretty soon Redban would be synonymous with like being swole and just fucking and just out there slaying bitches and doing big fucking lifts and throwing boulders around.
I don't have the energy for that. Like literally whatever. I've never, ever, ever in my life have woke up and gone, holy shit, I need to go outside and go do something. Like,
you know what,
whatever
though? I never have either. I don't have that.
No, I have.
It's
I wake up and
I think I'm run on self-hatred, though.
I wake up tired. I wake up and go, I am so tired.
Yeah, I get that.
And it might be sleep apnea. I haven't done that whole thing yet.
Now, what does that even mean? I know that
like you stop breathing in the middle of the night and then you wake up like and you do that thing and you probably have it because it's definitely has something to do with.
I've had women tell me that I snore. Yeah, that it's like they're like that I stop breathing. Mm-hmm. And stuff at
you
certain
probably
times.
have it. I'm guessing you have it. Rogan has it.
Really?
Joey Diaz has it.
I know Joey does because he was on a machine for a while.
Yeah,
right?
He still is. And Rogan has like a special mouthpiece.
It depends which way that I sleep. If I'm sleeping on my back, it comes out, and then if I'm sleeping on my side, it doesn't, or something like that.
Something like that. Yeah, I mean, I had a drop cam in my house. And it's this camera that records 24/7. I put it and I recorded myself for a week.
Dirty son of a bitch! You're filthy.
So I recorded myself for a week, and what's cool is that anytime it detects noise or movement, it records it.
Yep.
And so, I mean, I feel like when I did it, I saw for the week. I had times when I definitely was snoring, but I wasn't like doing the where like
right.
But I don't know. I wake up really tired, and then throughout the day, I'm more like nap. Yes, like I don't ever have
naps
energy.
Do you take a week?
I don't take many naps, but what I do is I definitely have moved most of my life into my bed. So, like, if I don't have a kitchen table anymore, I eat in bed.
When you fuck, do you have to move and make space and be like, oh, we're having a sexy time?
No. I mean, I do my sheets like twice a week now, where I used to do like every couple of years.
Right.
And
no, I feel you. I'm with you.
But now I because it's also a kitchen table, like a whatever thing you put on your kitchen table. What's that called?
Like a cutting board?
No, like the
tablecloth.
Tablecloth. Yeah. So my bed spread is now a tablecloth. So I have to clean it a little bit more because I eat in bed,
crumbs,
I fuck in bed, I work in bed. I just do everything from bed now. I have a California King. It's like I spent all my money on my bed. I was like, you know what? I spend half my time in bed. I'm
going to get the best bed.
Yeah, why am I buying like a used bed from the alley? So I got a bed that is in the bottom. It's like the NASA shit, the NASA foam.
Right.
Then there's like a gel on top of it,
right.
And then it's just veal. Like they took veal, they made it a paste, like, but it's vacuum wrapped, so you won't smell it,
and it's like a pate.
Yeah.
When you're done, you switch it out.
The veal top, and it's grass-fed veal. Like the veal top
makes a difference. You don't want corn-fed.
Yeah.
No, I'm with you. I bought a really expensive bed this year too, and I was like, "This is," and it makes
the best purchase I've ever made in my life.
Difference. And I don't want to leave it. I'm like, "This is super nice."
No, it's great,
and I don't feel sore when I get up. I used to be like in some beds, I'd be like, "Fuck," that was like I was in a fight all night.
Right.
And then this is just like, "Ooh, I feel
kitchen tables
good."
are for if you have kids. Like it's kind of like you can't all be in bed. You have to, or
gets weird.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, what's the most number of girls that you've had in that bed at one time?
That bed I've probably had 2. I had the most I've ever had was 2, but
that's enough. 2 is enough.
Yeah. But when I used to live in Ohio, I lived with 7 girls in this house.
No, you didn't. This is like a porn. Come on.
I promise you. When I lived in Ohio, I had 7. One of the weirdest things, by the way, Tait, is like when I moved here, one of the first arguments I ever had with Eddie and Joe. They were like, how many people have you slept with? And I think I said like 100.
Right. And they're like, no way.
No way. And they like totally bashed me the whole night. I'm like, no, really. I'm like 31. Like that way. I've had about a...
Right.
And I remember they just clowned me the whole night.
Now you said that was your first.
So anyways, I used to live with 7 girls in college. And it really sucked because... one of them used to get beat up all the time by her boyfriend, who would also hang out there.
No.
Yeah, it was horrible. Oh. And I'm back then I was just like a skinny hippie, and I couldn't really do it. I confronted him once, and he got in my face. It was like one of those.
And
things.
You're like, what am I going to do? Because she keeps asking him to come over anyway.
No, I just waited for him to leave, and I fucked her, and I tried. Like, you feel better now, right?
Like a gentleman.
Like a gentleman. But I remember one of the best times I ever had. I had all my roommates in my bed. I was in the middle. We all watched because I was the only person that any of them knew that had a Laserdisc player. Because when I turned 18,
so you all watched.
I bought a Laserdisc. No, we watched Terminator 2, I think.
Wow.
But we had them all lay in. Like I just remember laying in bed and we were all like tripping on acid or something. Like we were wasted.
When's the last time you did acid?
I'm not going to do acid anymore. The last time I did acid was probably. Good 20 years ago.
Really, that long?
I used to sell acid. I used to sell Bibles.
Books.
Bibles.
Yeah.
I probably done over 200 hits of acid, maybe somewhere around there.
Yep.
I mean, we used to.
What
do it
I
every
wish
day.
I had done, dude. And then the thing that's a bummer. I don't know if you guys don't do acid or whatever out there in the world, but. If you take half a hit on a Friday, that's awesome. You get a bunch of beers, go out, party, trip your balls. But you better take a hit and a half on Saturday if you want to get off again. And it's going to be a weirder trip, too. It's going to be unclean.
And that's acid back in the day. We don't even know this acid nowadays. What's it about? Yeah. I'm scared to take that. Here's the problem with acid.
You're just worried about strychnine or something back then.
Yeah, back then we're like, oh, no, we get in a car accident. Our back's going to get hit.
Right. You need a spot. Well, they used to say, when I was in high school, they used to say, you go legally insane after 7 hits.
Right.
And I was like, how many half hits did I have? One summer when I got in acid, I'm like, I'm over the mark.
I actually knew a Well, anyways, let's go back. What was I saying? Oh, acid. Back then, like, it was different. Like, nowadays, I have no idea what the acid is nowadays. So I'm too scared. I'm more mushrooms. Like, I would rather have acid, but 3 hours. Yes. And it's healthier because it's, like, grass-fed or whatever, hopefully. But back then, we used to be like, oh, microdots. I used to sell sugar cubes at one point. It was liquid acid. And Beavis and Butthead and Jesus Christ were the two best ones that I remember.
I remember Beavis.
Yeah, Beavis and Butthead were the best. That was the best acid. Mitsubishi was another one. But
that Sunshine Microdot, I remember we could get that, dude, and those were great.
Yes, they're great.
But I really remember. I wish that acid. I wish I'd done. Instead of that, I wish I'd done a bunch of mushrooms because I probably only had 50 mushroom trips.
Did you? How many bad trips did you? I would probably say in acid, I had probably a good 10 bad trips. Mushrooms, I've had a good 5 bad trips.
I haven't had bad ones. I've had ones that I was uncomfortable, and I felt like you feel like your brain is in a ringer and it's twisting, and you're like maybe at the 6th hour you're peaking like crazy, and I'm like, I could choose consciously to go over the edge and I would never come back out. You're kind of choosing to go into insanity or fighting for your sanity in a way. And you're like, I want it to stop. It's not going to stop. And you feel like there would be relief if you went into the insanity, kind of just let go, but you fight through it. And then the rest of the night is good. But there's hard work that happens for about 40 minutes in there somewhere.
Right. Yeah.
And that is not great.
No.
That's not great.
No. I'm glad I don't do acid. I don't want to ever do acid ever again.
I heard you on a podcast and said something like that. Or maybe it was Eddie talking the other day. He was talking about acid, and he's like, I just feel like it's like, it's like synthetic or made up mushrooms, and I would rather take the real thing than take something that's made in a lab.
I'd rather take mushrooms. Also, I don't want to devote half a day, if not a whole day, to a drug. And to me, that is like something that is avoidable. Like you know what I mean? Like
mushrooms are like that?
No, mushrooms to me have been 1 or 2 hours of crazy, 3, 4, 5 hours of calm down,
your ass off,
and then 6 hours of go to bed.
Right, you know? But that's the whole day. I mean, that's been your day.
No, I mean not if you like have a normal day and you do mushrooms at like 8 o'clock.
Right. Go to bed by 4 in the morning.
Yeah, 4 in the morning.
You're up at 11 or 12, and you're good.
Yep, 5 HTB.
There's an acid hangover too that's not great.
I think I candy flipped the other day by mistake. I had
candy
no idea. It's where they take Molly and
is it like honey dicked?
No, it's like where they take Molly and they mix it with acid or mushrooms. I had some Molly the other day that I tripped on, like visually.
Check it out, dude. That ecstasy, I had a friend, and we're in Arizona at the time, and doing a bunch of nefarious shit, and I went to this party, and I'm looking at all these people, and they're all on the nod, and I'm like, what's going on here? He goes, I just sold, I was selling ecstasy to these guys. I go, that's not ecstasy. I said, she looks like she's on dope. Like, she's nodding off and drooling right now. And he's like, well, yeah. He says, I just mix crystal and heroin together, and I sell it to these kids. I'm like, that is not great. That's that's a horrible thing to do to somebody.
Yes.
Yeah, that's like dosing somebody.
Yeah, it's not cool. And I'm kind of over that. I'm 41 now, Tait. So it's like
nobody would guess that.
I know, because I come on my own face every night.
Oh.
But like I'm kind of past most of the drugs. Like I'll do a little coke here and there.
Do you worry about I trip on this is that like people that are all gluten free or vegetarian or there's all this stuff and that they're still in the party scene, and I'm like, you worry about all the little fucking parts of your diet, but you will take a powder that's wrapped up in a Playboy fucking page, and you will snort that up your fucking face from a stranger that you didn't know, and you're like, no problems here.
Yeah.
Like, that's
no.
And so now with pills and with everything else, I'm like,
fuck pills,
dude.
No, I'm so old school that like if somebody gives me cocaine, first I find out who gives it to me.
Right.
But other than that, if I ever have cocaine, it will last me a good 2 months. It's more one of those things where I'm like, man, I'm not feeling awake today. I'll have one line. But I've never ever.
I could never do it that way.
I've never ever had with coke or any drug except weed. I've never had to the point where I'm like, I want to do more. I want to do more. I want to do more.
Fuck.
I want to do more. I've never had that.
You're
Alcohol
so
and weed.
lucky.
Alcohol and weed.
I've seen it with the alcohol with you. unlovely.
Oh no, well, alcohol for me is mostly Ohio. If you go to Ohio, there's
It was
a
also
billion of
it was
me.
it was also Phoenix one night.
No, I mean,
it's built like that.
Built like that. Yeah, that's Ohio. If you go to Ohio, we all do it. That's why Tony Hinchcliffe does it. That's why PDC, if you know PDC, does it. Anyone, Jamie, if you know anyone from
Hinchcliffe
Ohio,
gets like that.
Oh yeah,
No way.
dude. Tony drinks every single night, 3 or 4.
He's so sweet though.
What?
He's like a sweet little pussycat.
Dude, you could fuck him. I can.
Well, for sure. That's how I see Tony.
He's got a gay face. You just throw your dick at it. It's just Ohio. That's how you grew up.
Right. Michigan, same.
There's nothing to do in Ohio.
No.
Yeah, exactly. Michigan, same exact thing. To me, I just for fun, because I got out of a relationship lately and I wanted to prove something, I didn't drink all last week. Not once did I go, oh my God, I didn't drink.
Right. Well, that thing though with cocaine, like when people are like, oh, what are you doing? I'm like, I got an 8-ball or whatever. And they're like, so what are you going to do? I'm like, I'm doing cocaine. And they're like, yeah, but what are you going to do? I'm like, I'm doing cocaine. Like, that means I'm at home, the TV's on, the volume is down, and the fucking shades are closed, and I'm kind of looking out the window every now and then.
Yeah.
And that's it. And I'm doing line after line after, like, that's the way that night goes. It's not like a party thing for me, you know?
Yeah, I've never been addicted to anything majorly. I would say cigarettes and alcohol.
Are you still smoking?
Yeah.
Yep. What do you think about the E stuff?
Don't like it.
They look silly as shit.
They're stupid.
When I see guys smoking that,
I'm actually smoking more if I'm on the E stuff.
Just get yourself a Camel and fucking act like a goddamn man.
Like
What
take
is
it or
wrong
not
with
take
you?
it.
Yeah.
I mean, the cool thing about that also is that I've quit a million times, but I've always started back up due to my life.
Right,
you know what I mean?
right.
So it's only going to take something to probably cancer for me. But like, you know what? I'll quit.
No, but like what I see for you is I think that don't you think eventually you get into a place where you're like, you know what? Maybe I get turned on by running a marathon or by doing X, Y, or Z, and you turn a page in your life.
My shit's all stress. Like
But you find
cigarettes
a
are
different way to do
completely
that. What if you got into
attached to
yoga?
stress.
What if what if you got something that you're like?
See, if I'm not going to get into yoga unless I'm dating a girl that's into yoga. My whole thing.
You hear that, ladies? If you're out there, hit him up at Redban.
My whole thing is that I like being comfortable at home first. So that's my main objective in front of job, in front of everything.
Smoking weed, like you're smoking weed a lot.
I'm not as much as you think I do.
But couldn't that be like instead of you're like, yeah, every time I want a cigarette, I just smoke a little weed. Like it's.
Oh no, I tried that. No, because I don't like smoking weed. Really. Like to me, weed is a tool. Like, hey, I want to paint. I might smoke a bowl or two. Or
do you prefer to smoke or do you like edibles?
I hate edibles. No, I like a joint.
You're old school.
Yeah, I'm a joint, and it's only for a reason though. Like if I'm like, all right, have to think of something funny, smoke a couple hits of a joint. I'm not Joey Diaz where I'm like eating all day, smoking all day. I'm not like that at all. I'm like way more boring than you probably.
He's
think
a consumer.
I wake up, have Starbucks. I smoke maybe one hit. If I do smoke one hit,
except then you got Christy Mack and Phoenix Marie over at your house and. I understand.
So what do you think about all this Charlie Sheen shit? Tomorrow morning, by the way, this is recorded. Right? Well, this is what supposedly I heard is that he had AIDS for a while. It was fucking girls, no
Didn't
condoms.
Tell anybody.
And his AIDS, quote unquote, went away. But what kind of doctors is he doing crack with?
And paying $1 million.
So I had to go through like the Rolodex in my head, like, nope, I'm good. You know.
Yeah, he banged a lot of porn stars.
I know a lot of girls that he banged. A good friend of mine he dated. And
who's that, can you say?
Brett Rossi. And like I wrote her today, she didn't write me back. So I'm like kind of freaked out. You know, like I'm like, yikes. I didn't fuck any of these girls, so I'm good. But for my friends, I'm kind of concerned.
Crazy, man.
And he's always allegedly had this like whole, I've heard this from many girls, like, oh yeah, he paid me $10,000 just to hang out for the day and blah, 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 allegedly. You know, like, and I don't even know if this girl's lying or telling me the truth, but I know a lot of those girls that all say the same thing. So this might be, and then that girl fucks another 5 other guys.
Of course.
This might be, like, he might be like the next Hitler of AIDS.
I don't think guys can get AIDS from girls. Huh? I don't think guys can get AIDS from girls.
If she's having her period and you're drinking it like a milkshake, like your boy Brian
Right,
does.
exactly. You'd have to do that. You'd have to do it like that, and you're drinking it like a milkshake. That's dark. Yeah, dude. I wonder too. Like, what about? Did you see Pamela Anderson says she beat Hep C? She's like, there's a cure for Hep C now.
Yeah, I think there's like a couple doctors.
I feel like
that
I'd have heard about that if there was a cure for Hep C.
No, yeah, and supposedly we don't know, but tomorrow supposedly he's going to say that he is like HIV is not detectable anymore in his bloodstream. Is what is supposedly going to happen. So immediately you have to think that the doctor is the same as Michael Jackson's ex-doctor, you know, like it's some bullshit Hollywood crap hole that like this doctor's getting paid millions of dollars to be like, no, dude, don't detect it anymore.
Yeah, I want the NSA to be looking at his blood.
It's and it's unfortunate because I know a lot of girls that fucked him or hung out with him
for $10,000.
Yeah,
if you're down on your luck. And you're like, you know what? I can make $300,000 this month by hanging out with him every day.
Allegedly.
But maybe I get the HIV.
Right.
There's times in my life where you maybe roll those dice. I don't know. It's better than getting a box cover for your next platinum video from Vivid.
Right. Is
maybe.
Porn still a thing? Is that even real anymore?
They don't do porn in California anymore since the condom laws, right?
They don't. Yeah. Oh, yeah. They still do.
It's all in Vegas. All those girls moved to Vegas.
I don't think so.
A lot of them are in Vegas.
I think
now.
most porn girls don't exist anymore. They're called cam girls, and they cut out the middleman, and now they're just like fucking their buttholes like on myfreecams.com and shit like that.
Do you own that website?
No.
I feel like they all live in Arizona or Vegas.
A lot of them live in Arizona for sure.
Huh. What was your interest when you first started being able to date? Because you kind of had a big resurgence. I was saying earlier, like the you know, like you're a wild man. You're a loose cannon. You're a maverick. You're a heretic. You're out there in the woods. You're more than John McCain ever thought he could be. And with what your evolution has been in the time I've known you, and to come from fucking where you come from, which it's a trip, like everything that's happened, right? And then you're like, yeah, I'll come to LA, and then you're here, and then get it all together and you moved with your girlfriend, right?
Yeah, originally I remember. Dated for like 10 years.
A beautiful deal, like that was great, and then you guys all find your own lives out here, and then as you continue down that road, like
I started hitting more schizophrenic forums.
We got different girls in that way. But the thing you also did is at the same time you I remember when you first wanted to do comedy and you always had an itch to do it, and I think we were in Florida and you were hammered or I don't know where it was, but you got up. And it was just like me and Ari in an empty room after the fucking end of the thing, and you just went up and giggled in the mic and then ran off all funny, like, and that was it. And then when I came back to LA, you know, years later, and fuck, I watched you and I fell over laughing. You were awesome, and to see whatever breakthrough that was, where you're like, fuck it, I'm just gonna jump up, because it's scary. It's a daunting thing. Like, what was that like for you? Like the first time you went on stage, and the yearning to do it for years, maybe I would imagine, before you actually went and busted your cherry.
When I lived in Ohio, I used to do open mic for a good year and a half, 2 years. Out of 2 years, I probably went up 7 times. The 7th time I went up was the day Bob Hope died, and this is like kind of after 9/11. And when he died, I had a joke, and I did it, and it bombed. Very well. Yeah, I got booed off stage. So then I stopped doing comedy. I was like, you know what? I've been doing this for 2 years. I've gone up 7 times. I've been here every week. I've called off jobs.
And this last one hurt.
And this last one just really went like, this is not worth it.
Right.
Like, I'm putting way too much time in to just feel bad. Like, you know,
right.
it's like, hey, bully, punch me. You know,
right.
Like,
and that's what a crowd is like. If they're unkind to you, it's like it's not like it's like nurturing.
Yeah. The joke was Bob Hope died, and, you know, like, we're in war in Iraq or whatever still is. But I was like, hey, do you think they flew out Bob Hope's dead body to Iraq to entertain all the dead troops? And it
God damn, the way your mind works, Brian.
Right, so I quit.
Jesus.
And then Rogan, we were in Atlanta, and Rogan goes, hey, I want you to go up. This is a sold-out show. And I'm like, I'm not going. I haven't gone up, in 3 years.
Right.
And he goes, I want you to go up. So he threw me on stage in front of a sold-out show. I hadn't been up in 3 years. I didn't even have my jokes on me. I think I was like Google or at the time MySpacing or something, like trying to find jokes that I used to do. I did up and I did okay. And then for a good year or two, every show Rogan would throw me up, and then so I kind of got it like a cheat code to doing comedy.
Yeah.
So I went from open mic to opening up for Joe Rogan. And so it teaches you real quick how to do it. And then I don't know. I think the Joe Rogan podcast, if you listen to the early versions of it, I used to be not a comic, and then there was one where I'm like, whatever, I'll try it then, fine. And then it's so weird how maybe in the last 3 or 4 years I've really grown because I've been doing it so much, and now it's just second nature. It's just me,
What's cool about it too is I remember Joe was talking about it a long time ago, and he's like, man, it'd be cool to do a class or something. He says, I could cut off the time on somebody becoming a good comic. So he's like, I'd love to help and give back like that and whatever. And now what we just came from tonight was Kill Tony podcast, and which is precisely what you guys are doing. Yeah. Like you're giving, it looks like a fuck job, like where it's like, oh, I'm going to have these guys up here and we're going to tease some new comics. It's not what it is at all. New comics come up, do a 60-second bit, and then you guys, you and Tony and a couple other comics critique them and tell them how to make things better and give them clues, and it's fucking awesome because you would never get that anywhere else.
We've never had that growing up. There's never been any comic never had.
There's never been a nurturing thing.
No.
It's like fuck you, and I'm going to try to tease you out of the room, kind of shit.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like a wrestler.
I'm really jealous of what we do, because I wish I was a comic, and I wish I got to
and somebody
do
cared.
I wish I had it recorded on the internet and live stream so I could listen to it in HD. It's almost not fair. It's like I'm very jealous of, and Kill Tony is like a cheat code. If you follow it, if you do Kill Tony, and
if you're living in Des Moines or something and you're listening to that, the advice that is given to comics here at the Comedy Store, if you hear that on Kill Tony, you're gonna get that's your advice too, because it's really universal, right? It's not like works for that's for everybody. Like these are rules that everybody needs to know.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not like we're always nice though. Like there's sometimes where it's just, you have to.
The black guy that killed it tonight.
Mm-hmm.
I had to go piss, and I went down and I missed him, and Keith is like, dude, that guy was awesome.
Yeah.
And then that's cool too to watch you go, hey, what are you guys doing Friday night? You want to come down to the, and it's like,
invite him to a real show.
Invite
a lot
him
of
to
these
a real
people
show.
have never been to
and rub elbows
real
with
show.
Real comics.
Yeah.
Find out what a green room looks like.
Yeah. And we do a podcast in the green room.
Oh, really? On Fridays?
On Ice House Chronicles.
Rad.
Which is,
Rad.
We've been doing for almost 4 years now. So it's a podcast where we all just oh my God, I just ate shit on stage, and then another comic goes and leaves the podcast to go on stage. So it's kind of cool.
Well,
you get like a little insight.
You go through his jacket and smoke all his
exactly.
drugs.
So, but if you're a comic, I mean, how cool is that? You get to see a green room before you've even been in a green room.
Where you don't even deserve to.
Yeah, you don't even deserve to be in this green room. And you get to hear what it's like. And I wish I could have watched Steve Martin, in the 70s. Could you imagine him in the green room and just hanging out with
that's
whatever?
what you were saying. I'm like, yeah, Kinnison probably fucked somebody on this table. This place is legendary where we are. There's ghosts in here right now.
Yeah.
I want to talk too about the beginnings of the podcast, and from when there was a segue from Joe's show, and then that kind of ends, and then the podcast happened shortly after. You want to take a break and grab a cocktail?
Yeah, I would love to.
All right, cool.
All right.
Cool. So we're back, man. This is fucking cool, man. I'm so glad you're here. I really appreciate you taking the time, man.
Tate.
I love you too.
It's
fucking rad. It's like a special time, I feel like it's like that thing too. I feel like there's those people, and it's really only really authentic people that you can do it with, but like where there's like you see each other and there's no time passing, you know each other in a way that is kind of really transparent and shit, and it's just nice, man. It's really nice. I'm just relishing the moment.
You're one
right
of the
now.
first people that actually was friends with me in Los Angeles.
In Los Angeles.
It's like Duncan, Ari, Joe, Eddie, you. I mean,
you know what's funny too about that? I was thinking about that where we all are, you know, and it's like what that environment of having people that have that kind of growth mindset and the mindset to be like, you know what, I'm going to try, even if people laugh at me or even if it's hard or even if it's whatever the obstacles are that we get out of our ways. And those are all people like that. And it's like, and they didn't quit. They kept trying, and we're all doing really, like, I get so impressed, man. I remember when I was driving up over here by Ari's old house. Ari had left the apartment already, and I drive up La Cienega, and I hit Sunset, and boom, the billboard that was right over where his apartment was his big fat nose up there for his show, and I was like, I tweeted it right away. I got super, and then Joe retweeted it. Like everybody, like it was just a succession, and it's like, man, it's just fucking a beautiful thing to be a part of. You know,
it's weird. We all pretty much saw the egg that hatched. All of us almost. You know,
it's wild. It's and I, you know, I thank Joe in the way that is a lot. Like I really. And I really think in what he said, you know, that thing about being free of the confines of money and all that in a way that allows you to get your mind outside of other things. And like, and you don't have to be rich to get outside the confines of money. That's not the point Joe happened to be, but that's not the thing. It's like to think in these bigger ways, it becomes so much more valuable to grow as a person, and then your life gets monetized by doing whatever. Like Alan Watts has a great little video about that I love to post and repost, but he talks about doing the thing that you love, and then for sure if you do that thing, you'll become a master of that thing, and other people will like that thing also, and eventually that'll be a thing that you'll get to do for your life, and that's the way good lives are built. It's like making a living isn't just making the dollars. Making a living is like, are you living the life of your dreams, that you're creating stuff? And for me, that means being in creation. I want to be creating the next thing. I want to create a movement that moves people towards this greater idea, and these things are an awesome thing for that purpose. You know, that's what's exciting about, you get to choose. Like people are like, God, people are negative on the internet or what, like people can have all kinds of commentary on that. Dude, my Twitter feed is nothing but love. Like if you're a jerk, I block you. Like and that means if you're mean to one of my friends, you say mean stuff about somebody, or you're diminishing towards people I don't even know. I don't like that. So, and it bothers me. It makes my soul sick a little bit. So then I just block that person. I'm like, well, I guess I'll never have to see that person again. Right. The only thing I get sad about is I go, maybe that person would say something valuable later, but likely not, you know?
Well, I look at it as like I cut real friends out of real life. I cut the fat, you know? So like I'm definitely going to cut fat and like people that are just like faceless voices on the internet.
Yeah, echoing negative, derogatory stuff.
I cut for the dumbest shit too. Like if anything that I'm like, oh, if I was at a party and you just said that to me, I'd be like, nope, I'm going to look the other way. So I'll just cut.
It's funny too because a lot of times I fall into a thing where I'm overly sensitive, and people are like, they're like, dude, I was just trying to tell a joke, and I was like, nope, should have thought better. That's a shit joke. Don't tell a joke that diminishes people. Bye.
Yeah, I don't give a shit anymore. Like I really don't give a shit.
There's just not time. There's not time for me to feel ugly inside a little bit over some stuff that is like, I don't need to.
So many people have come up to me also and like, you banned me on Twitter, bro. And then I'm like, oh, I did?
Dude, I had guys that begged me to get you to add them. They're like, tell Redban just to let me to unblock. I'm like, I feel like that happened for a reason, and that's not happening.
What's funny is that every single time that's happened, it's probably happened like 3 times, I end up feeling kind of bad about it because I see them in my face.
Right.
But then after hanging out with them, I'm like, oh, I see why I did this.
Right. and you're like, oh, they don't know how bad they are. If they could see
a fucking cunt bag.
So at the onset of podcasting, man, like you're like, you know, a pioneer in it, and you know, you're at the beginning of it. You know, there's other guys like I guess Carolla and Mark Maron, like, but those are the only 2 really that were maybe before.
Oh, there's a shitload before. But
they got real traction though. I mean, you know, as far as real followings and. You know, and then Joe's like, what were the conversations before where Joe was like, oh, somebody's doing this, and maybe this would be a cool thing to do.
I'll tell you what it is. 100%, this is exactly what happened. I used to follow around Joe with a camera, and then when I made the Carlos Mencia versus Joe Rogan video, I got banned from the Comedy Store along with Joe. and or whatever happened.
Yeah.
But during that time, it was a good 6 years or whatever, that I would come here with you and Joe and Joey and Ari and Duncan and everyone, and we would just film at the Comedy Store, kind of like a pre-podcast, but it was video. I would make these things called the Joe Shows, which were these like little video shorts, and
like 12 minutes or whatever, like little minutes, short deals,
like 10-foot screws. What we talked about earlier was one. Then once we were gone, I would go on the road with Joe, and I would do like green room versions of what I used to do. Now the problem is that now there's no more guests. There's no more random people coming up to us at the Comedy Store. That there was random people in different cities, but after a while, after I did like maybe 5 of them, I realized, this is a lot harder to like make something interesting out of a green room in Columbus, Ohio, than it was at the Comedy Store.
Right.
So then I thought, how can I make this so it's more interesting, and like, because it would take me months to like edit like a video, trying to find a story out of all the footage that I had. Like, I'm gonna make a story about Joey Diaz thinking he's going to die. Like I had to like find ideas, and I actually had to make little movies. Yep. So what I started doing is I started taking laptops in the green room at different cities and tried to get them to do this thing called Justin TV, which is now Twitch. I would open it up and be like, all right, so these guys are watching this live and they want to talk to us and ask us questions.
In a way.
It was kind of, it was exactly like Periscope, or, And then I did that in a couple of cities. Joey Diaz hated it the most. He one time attacked me because it was on.
He doesn't like.
Yeah, one time Joey like grabbed my hand and like bit my finger backwards and started screaming at me. Yeah. That was his Coke days, I think. But and then me and Joey started doing Podcats, which was a podcast about cats.
About his cat.
Yeah. And then Joe was like, we should do like what we do in the green room at my house. And I'm like, oh yeah, well, it's this thing called podcast. We could totally, and he goes, no, let's just do a Ustream. So we started doing Ustreams. And the whole idea was doing what we used to do in green rooms, but doing it at his house. So he can just people can ask questions and we put it up. Then after like the 4th or 5th episode, people were like, dude, you should make this a podcast. I'm like, yeah, let's make it a podcast. So Joe and me decided to like make it a podcast. So we started doing podcasts. Then after that, it was just boom, 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 boom. Every week we would upgrade. Joe would upgrade something and be like, all right, now we have, instead of these microphones, we have these microphones. Right. And it was really cool because I never knew anything like about audio engineering or video or the stuff that goes behind making a podcast. So I had to learn how to use mixing boards and like all this stuff. So you could watch us from Joe Rogan Experience #1 all the way up. You can see us improve every week. There was something, started off like this and that. And now it's like ridiculous. It's like a full on like TV show. Almost.
Yeah. You hear Jamie talking about it, and he's like, I've got a guy that's helping me, Eric George, and he's just the last, 5 or 10 of these that I've done. He does sound. I send him to him, and he does sound. He does an intro, does all that stuff, but he and Jamie, I linked in on a text, and he's like, yeah, how do we do video? We want to set up something at Tait's house, and that's easy to do, and it's like, it really comes down to you need another man in the room that is just doing that stuff.
And God bless Jamie, because after doing that for a while, I'm so glad I don't have to do it anymore.
Yeah. Well,
that takes a lot of
and conversely,
pressure.
He's so glad that he does.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
And he has
like
a great job now.
Yeah, exactly.
But that was one of the big things. Like, people are always like, why aren't you on the Joe Rogan podcast as much anymore? Or why aren't you doing as much anymore? And I'm like, because I don't have to.
Right. Yeah.
Like, I don't, like, that's another thing. It started off as a comedy podcast. Like, we were just like talking about pussies and farts and dildos. And next thing you know, we have Neil deGrasse Tyson on, and I'm asking if squirting happens in space.
Right.
So I think that the direction Joe is taking is awesome, because now it's like a legit show.
It's an
like he has,
show.
yeah. It's less comedy now, But that's what's cool is that me and Joe do this, like, we try to do it every week, but
every
his
Monday
schedule,
or whatever. Like,
It's just
when you
me and
just
Joe.
go on and you're like, let's just talk about current events and whatever.
Internet. It's like us watching the internet. And I like that because that reminds me of the old idea where it was just me and him fucking around.
And it's cool because that's just fun, too. It's just like a couple of boys being silly, you know, pals getting them together. And that's the most fun about it. What's been vital in this for me is like or so enriching really is that I get to have conversations that I wouldn't normally have. I would never sit down and like we wouldn't like us not going on the road together anymore. It's like we're not sitting by the pool, you know, at the end of the night afterwards because there was no girls around or whatever, and you, me, and Ari are just talking for 3 hours. That doesn't happen anymore. Nobody's got time. It's like you don't have time to produce that show in the same way. And now Jamie does, but like when things start getting better for everybody, like your time becomes different, my time becomes different, and so these are like I get to talk to Greg Jackson. Like I haven't really sat down with Greg because it's been years since I've trained with Greg, but like to get down and do a podcast, wow, man, then you get into these conversations that are just invaluable.
And it's something that me and you used to do all the time before we did a podcast after eating.
Right.
Like we would eat with Joe, and me, you, and Joe, and a few others would sit there and talk for hours.
Dude.
Or would go to a radio station and they would like extend the show for hours just because everyone loved it so much. Like it was there was such a foreshadowing on everything that we did.
Looking back retrospectively, for sure.
Such a foreshadowing.
For sure. You know, I just did this thing. I don't know when they're going to do it, but it'll be out on wherever, I don't know, Fight Pass or something like that. But they did a Where Are They Now kind of thing for the UFC, and I go, I don't know if I have time to do it. I was kind of like, fuck, you know, like because I'm busy and like that's not like helpful in any kind of way or whatever, so they go, well, what are you busy doing? And I give them a rundown. I go, well, you know, I fucking got to go to Dallas. And then why are you going to Dallas? Well, I've got these nightclubs that fucking are going out there, and we got an anniversary coming up for that. And then you know, these guys want to do a reality show based on some of my shit. And then I've got this podcast that I'm doing, and then I've got Caveman Coffee. So me and Keith and Lacey made a coffee company, and we do that, and we ship that, and then we're opening up licensees all over the country. We've got places, and then I've got my gym. And he's like, holy fuck. He's like, man, well, come pitch that to us. We'd love to do it. And that's Pilgrim Films. And then so I talked to them and their digital people, and like I want to make a web show. I want to make like a half-hour web series or something that.
That's the time to do that. Also, with the new Apple TVs
is
and
kind
stuff.
of like that.
And by the way, I got to go to Tait's one of Tait's Concrete Cowboy. I've been to it a few times.
Yeah.
I've actually been there a few times, and I've always had the most fun ever.
Dude, you got to go back to Dallas now because we just bought the place next door across the alley, and it's named Clutch. And so we have Clutch.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh,
and so we got
funny.
and so it's more. It's got a full
Do you know
menu.
Clutch is my troll name?
No.
Oh, I'm on many message boards under the username Clutch that I've never told.
That is amazing.
I have a long history with the word Clutch. So the fact that you have a bar named Clutch
awesome.
makes me feel like you hacked me. And you know something I don't know.
I know
but
all your mail.
All you Reese Witherspoon message board users, I'm sorry. You just found out that I'm Clutch.
That is awesome.
No, it's so weird that you said that.
Yeah.
And it was based off that girl I dated from Texas, from Houston.
Yep.
That's how, because I found out that she was on a Reese Witherspoon message board, and she was obsessed with it. So, and I'm like, why is she so obsessed with Reese Witherspoon? And so I started a username named Clutch, and I started being her friend on there, and I found out, no, she just loves Reese Witherspoon.
You're like, nothing weird here. The only thing weird here is me.
Right, and now it's just weird that I am a fake person named Clutch.
And now she's sad. She's like, that Clutch guy must have died.
But
I don't know what happened to him. I hope he's okay.
I ended up using that username on many trolls, on many message boards.
So listen, we're going to have one in Houston in the next month and a half. Will be open. So when you guys go on. So
that's do comedy in one of your places.
That'd be rad, dude.
Why don't you have a comedy club if you're in the industry?
Look at you. You're so funny.
No, I mean you know all the best comics.
There's all the best.
Tate's thinking right now. I'm looking at his eyes.
All the best money is made in for sure. Like they're all getting blown up with money, right? Comedy clubs.
All I know is, Tate, you know some of the best comedians in the world.
I do. I know them all.
And you're in the industry.
Don't say that shit to me. I'm busy enough.
Don't say that to you.
That would be fun. You know, Rogan was just saying the other day, he goes, dude, I'd like to get a show in Santa Fe. I'm like, yeah, dog. I said, well, you want me to call? He's like, I'm like, well, yeah, what kind of asshole am I? Of course you got people that can call people. Never mind.
Hey, I have a question about the Ronda
Rousey?
Yeah. So, like, a couple months ago, I actually thought, and I think I even said this on a podcast probably, that, like, no one can beat Ronda Rousey.
Right.
That's at least what they're making us feel.
Sure.
Now, when this girl
But you know history, and you know that we said that about Chuck Liddell, about George St. Pierre.
Absolutely.
You know, there's, you know.
So I get that part of it. That's like a build-up, or that's like it's actually made. You know, that whole idea is created or whatever. So anyways, the weigh-in, I felt like Ronda looked like she was hungover. She had the flu. She looked what Joe Rogan always calls me, gray. Like a lot of different adverbs. Is that the right
adjectives?
It was an adverb.
Well, an adverb is describing an action, like he's a fast runner.
Okay.
And an adjective is describing a noun.
Absolutely adjective. But I almost thought that Dana White was just called Ronda up. It's like, look, you, the night before the fight, you party like crazy. You just go crazy. You think
he's feeding her shots?
Yeah, I think he's just giving her Jägermeister shots. Like, I really think they wanted her to lose just so they can have her come back. And like, I felt like if you watch that weigh-in and you watch every single other weigh-in or interview that she does, she lost her cool fast. She looked like she was like fucking sick as fuck. And I almost think that they were just pretty much like, dude, you don't have to throw the fight, but here, I want you to chug this whole bottle of Fireball.
I would say no way.
You say no way.
No, but like something maybe happened behind the scenes, and I don't know. I'll talk to Holly, I think, next week.
Do you think Holly and her broke up like the day before?
But there was definitely like an animosity and a fire when she walked out.
Not right.
And then it's like she wanted to pick a fight there, or it's like she needed to make Holly a villain. And I don't know, like the Betch Carrera thing, I think is a thing. Joe disagrees with me on this, where he's like, well, then Betch talked about her dad. No, she didn't. That's not what happened. What happened is, like any shit talking that would happen, like, I'm going to beat you so bad in the cage, you're going to want to kill yourself. And she says that in some kind of broken English, right? Mm-hmm. Like, she didn't know there was a history of that in anybody's family or anything like that. Now, Ronda likes to have something to catch on to make it like a story, and that helps fire her up as an athlete. Fair enough. And I think she wanted to have that piece with Holly, and so she did that with the whole thing. You're not as nice as I thought, or whatever, and which it was a weird way in. It was an awkward way in. However,
unlike her, also though.
Unlike her, but then in the fight, it's also you're juxtaposed with somebody that cuts a lot of weight to get to 35.
Hey, if you started farting flowers right now, I'd be like, "There's something not right." Like, like everyone saw that. Also, when I tweeted something about it was very unlike her, and everyone agreed. Like, it's
right.
Something wasn't right, and that they're not talking about that as much as they are talking about.
That's why I say I believe there was something behind the scenes that we don't know.
We don't know
that went on. But in the fight itself, also what you're looking at. Holly always looks that way. When you see her on fight day, she doesn't ever not look like that. She never gets out of shape. I've known her 15 years. I've never seen her out of shape. She's always...
You grew up in the same city, right?
Basically, well, we fought together on the same team, and so she's a member of Jackson Winklejohn,
cool.
And she was one of Mike Winklejohn's original students from when she was 13 or 15.
Do you know if she's ticklish?
I don't know that. Never been close to her really that much without boxing gloves on.
What if she was really ticklish, though? Most girls I know, if you're ticklish, she's really ticklish.
Maybe that's why she avoided the ground game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
What if you were to tickle her? If you're fighting, does tickling turn off?
This is why you get the catchphrase, oh, Brian. Oh,
does
Brian.
Tickling turn off, though, when you're fighting?
Yes.
It does turn off.
Like pain turns off.
Yeah.
However... The shock of a dislocated jaw or a broken jaw doesn't turn off. And that's what we saw right away that nobody talked about also was...
Well, Holly also broke her hand. I heard.
Oh, did she?
I heard she broke her hand also, which is crazy.
But she threw that big left, and then I saw, and it was so early in the fight. But normally when you see a mouth open on a fighter, it's because they're sucking air and they're tired.
You called that night.
I was like, no, it's the first round. She's not tired. I bet her jaw's, and then she got hit a bunch more times after that. And so I think that changed. That of course changed everything. But what a splendid way to look at it in that way. But as far as like she really put on a clinic, Holly did, and she executed a beautiful game plan. But
I'm really amazed that it happened, and
everybody shocked the world, right?
And looking back, though, I really feel like there's something more to it that we won't know about for a while.
I believe so too, but I also believe that the greatest good will come of it all. Like whatever that thing is, that'll get divulged, and Rhonda will learn from it, and Holly will learn from it, and every girl watching will learn from it, and other athletes will learn from it. And the game has just been raised. I mean, you've got an athlete that's a champion now at the top level that doesn't ever get into shape. She just stays in shape. And so her technical abilities get better and better and better with every training session she does. She's never training to get into shape. She's only training to get better. And that's different than most athletes that we see fighting today. Because they party, they do X, Y, and Z. Here's somebody that's about it, man. And she's been a professional athlete for over a decade. And that's different. She's on a different level. And we just got to see, too, like there's a real striking athlete, like a true striking athlete that's a champion, crossover to MMA. And it's the only time that there have been belts held in both of those venues. There's guys that have been
What's
cocky.
the ground game like?
Who, Holly's?
Yeah.
Better and better all the time.
Really?
I mean, and you see it right now. You see a top-level grappler, and she's able to disengage and get out and stand up and get away, which is the right thing to do.
she escaped Ronda.
But then what the scary thing is, when I saw her and she got double underhooks and did a low back clinch, and she took Ronda down. And I'm like, holy shit. I'm like, and at first I'm like, you don't want to take her down. And then I was like, she knows what she's doing, and she's got to have confidence to take down a black belt like Ronda Rousey and be on top of her and execute a ground and pound. That's a tremendous amount of confidence in your ground game. And she did it.
I feel like maybe UFC hit her. Is there any other people that you know of that you're like, you know what? Those other two people are hidden also. Hidden from, like, they're not going to be pumped up just yet. Like they're not going to be the next Ronda Rousey.
I don't think the
killer.
UFC wanted Holly to win.
Yeah, I don't think they did either to a point. I also thought that it got to the point where a lot of people were like, no one can beat her in UFC.
Right.
So I think there has to be a couple others that's on the shelf that they know that.
I don't think there's anybody of the caliber that Holly Holm is.
Really?
Not anybody.
Wow.
Misha Tate, I think, is a tremendous athlete. And
what about Cyborg?
Very well-rounded. Cyborg is, I think, a tremendous striker. I haven't seen enough of Cyborg fighting, and I don't think she's been active enough to be able to really say. And you don't know. It's kind of like, when you could go, ooh, her striking looked awesome. Well, against her it did, but it didn't look as awesome against her. And so depending who Cyborg's fighting, they're not top-level people generally, it's just hard to say, and matchups are what makes those fights look interesting, but you'll get to see that thing. You'll get to see. I think nobody wants to stand with Holly ever now, and people are just going to shoot doubles on her and try to get her to the ground.
Yeah, Tate, if a girl's on her pussy, would you eat it?
Of course. If a girl's on her rag, is what you mean, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is like
too many drinks in? You like it bloody? It just tastes like iron.
Yeah,
it's like you just get iron in your mouth. No,
not a big deal.
I didn't.
But a gross.
People are like, "Oh, do you have your Red Wing?" And I'm like,
"What the fuck?"
I don't. I like to eat pussy. I'm gonna eat that thing.
No matter what, who cares?
What about butthole? You eat butthole?
Yeah, sure. It's the cleanest part of a woman's body. It's cleaned at least three. True. No, it's cleaned 3 or 4 times a day. Charmin, it's.
Yeah. Anyway, when did you start noticing results on podcasts? As far as in comedy rooms and blowing up, you're going from this kind of a zero on your paycheck to this many zeros. You're moving decimal
I don't
points.
have sponsors at Deathsquad. It's crazy is that
you got a whole network, Deathsquad network.
Yeah, I had this whole very stupid theory that I didn't want anything edited or censored. I want to be able to play a YouTube video.
Fighter and the Kid do that.
Huh?
Fighter and the Kid does that.
They can't have it on YouTube though. Like we can play like on Deathsquad. We can play songs. We can look at YouTube videos. We can look at news. We can do we could look at porn if we wanted to.
Right.
We can do whatever the fuck we want because we don't have any sponsors attached to us. No money attached to the podcast. So that
So your whole money though is predicated on that people listen to this.
Zero money.
People listen
Zero money.
to this.
No, I spend all my money on Deathsquad. Every single paycheck I get goes to helping other people's careers.
But doesn't it make your spots when you go and you get booked somewhere bigger?
Sure, it might. But if I had a manager, I could totally take advantage of being booked throughout the United States, different countries.
You interested in that, or are you too busy and excited about doing these other things?
Managers don't want to book me for some reason. Managers don't like me. They think I'm too dirty. I'm too whatever. You know, I make my only money on making. I take all my art and I make them T-shirts or products like Deathsquad T-shirts and stuff. That pays for everything I do. But when it comes down to it, oh shit, I'm taking every single dollar I have to make sure that Ari, Tom, Sam, everybody that's ever been on Deathsquad becomes known. And I've been so successful at it. It's awesome. You know, everyone that I know is very popular now. It's great. But when it comes down to it, I'm like probably going to be bankrupt pretty soon.
Shut
or in
up.
jail. No, really.
No way.
Super real.
Why don't you monetize it?
Because I don't want to ruin the whole idea, which was
But don't you think you can still get sponsors by it? I mean, let's you look at how On It was developed.
Right.
Because Aubrey was a fan. Aubrey was selling those fleshlights, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then they're like, we like vitamins and we like optimization. And Rogan's like, I'll bankroll it, right? Is that basically what happened?
I have no idea, but I'm guessing
something like that. But like, that's a sex toy. That is like, so. Like you could probably get
Joe Rogan can play Joe Rogan podcast
pussy to
Joe Rogan podcast. Joe Rogan podcast can't pull up a video without thinking that
somebody's gonna be mad,
and it's gonna get pulled down. Then poor Jamie's got to edit it out and stuff.
What are the laws on like songs and stuff like that? Like
you can't do it.
I hear Joey Diaz does it though.
Joey Diaz is on YouTube. Joey Diaz is, I don't even know what Joey Diaz is doing his own thing, but like I'm talking about YouTube, and that's where you make all your money, and where we have sponsors or whatever like that. I don't think Joey Diaz is on YouTube. If he is, then it's heavily edited. But no, it's a big issue because when you mix money, you mix freedom of speech. It takes a hit every time. And my idea was not to have any censorship on comedy ever, and it's a horrible idea. It's the worst idea ever.
It takes the funny out of it.
It takes all my money out of the bank and makes me have to roll coins. It's really that bad. Like it's a bad idea. But lately, I've been separating all my shows into different feeds so that in the future. We could have sponsors. Like if you just want to sponsor Kill Tony, we can do that.
Right.
And I should have done that in the beginning, but my whole idea was I didn't want to have any censorship. But that's obviously not working.
Well, but also where this is going, I think, you look into the future a little bit, and it's like these are shows that are valuable entertainment that can be monetized, and you've already built the show, so you tweak it a little bit so that it's able to be,
I didn't do Deathsquad for money, though. I did Deathsquad just to help friends out. Like, I was just trying to help Ari out. I was just trying to help Tom out. I was trying to help Duncan out.
What about Deathsquad Network?
Yeah, Deathsquad Network now.
Do you know those guys?
What?
Do you know those guys?
Who?
What is it?
Deathsquad Network? No, there's a lot of fake Deathsquad people that are making money off of Deathsquad.
There's like websites that are out there that have my full bio.
And they make money off of the Deathsquad name. Yeah,
that's a trip.
Yeah. The only official thing is Deathsquad.tv. And like there's a million Deathsquad names on Twitter. They have nothing to do with me.
Right.
There's a million websites that are replaying my shit, like with money.
Dude, there's people that replay. Somebody sent me a link, and there's like my Periscope is on like MMA websites and shit. I'm like, I didn't even know you could take your Periscope and jack it like that. I'm like,
it's just scam artists.
Trip.
It's scam artist losers. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's a weird thing, Tait. It's a really weird thing.
So where do people find merchandise? Like you got these sick hats, stickers, all that is all on Deathsquad TV?
Sure.
Deathsquad.tv?
No, it's shopsquad.tv.
Shop Squad.
Yeah, I actually did a T-shirt the other day on Periscope. I drew the whole
motherfucker.
T-shirt on Periscope, and it's really cool. It's one of my favorite T-shirts I ever made. But now I do like small T-shirts, like only like 40 T-shirts.
runs, so they're...
Make them like collector's editions because it makes me draw more and paint more if I do it that way. And
that is awesome.
So it's cool. So it makes me like draw more and paint more. So
how many pets do you have right now?
Just one dog.
That's it.
Yep. All of them died, or I murdered them.
He didn't really murder them.
No, I just threw him over my friend's fences.
He doesn't do that stuff. He doesn't. He's an animal lover.
Yeah.
I was thinking to get one of those hairless cats.
I love hairless cats. Our friend has one that is...
I heard they're the best cuddlers.
So warm. They're hotter than normal cats.
It's like cuddling a ball sack or like a hot water bottle or something like that, but
yep.
Not
It
that
really
I've
is.
cuddled ball. Don't make it weird, people. I don't cuddle ball sacks, but you know what I mean.
Right.
All right, well, let's go downstairs.
Yeah, let's do it.
I love you, and I thank you for coming
I
and
love
doing
you,
this.
Tait. I'm so glad that you're doing a podcast now.
so
You have
cool.
Caveman Coffee.
I put out too many.
Tait, you are blowing the fuck up, and I love it.
Thank you.
I can't wait to sleep
let's
on your
keep it
couch
going.
for life.
When this thing gets monetized, this goddamn podcast, I'll get a 2-bedroom place, and you can have one of the bedrooms.
Nice.
But you're
I'm
going to
in.
have to get rid of the dog.
All right. I'll eat it.
All right. Thank you, goddamn people, and I hope you're having a good time. And please just get out there and try. Hustle that shit.
Will somebody
Hug some
please
folks.
buy a bird to sit on Tait's mustache?
A little parakeet. A little tiny parakeet.
I want to see a little bird just hanging on
I
your
like that.
mustache. It'd be cool.
I'm going to post one. I have a picture of me with a parrot, a live parrot on my shoulder from a little independent film I did this last year.
I want a bird, baby, little, tall, small.
We'll
bird.
work it out. You know, you people, I'm easy to find. You follow me around on Periscope. You can find me at Tait Fletcher.
I just followed you on Periscope. I didn't know you were on Periscope.
I'm pretty good.
Dude,
I
can't wait to watch
Periscope
your
good.
Periscopes.
I do a little coffee
Do you watch my
scope.
Periscopes at all?
A little bit, but only if there's girls involved.
You ever see me?
You've
do
always
my
got the
shower
hottest
scopes?
girls with you. No, I haven't seen a shower scope, but I thought of doing one before.
Have you heard about it?
No.
It's where I eat shitty food, fast food in the
tell me
shower.
this.
So I'm like eating like
A Big Mac
like
or a Hardee's
taco
burger or
from Taco
something.
Bell, while shower and conditioner is in it, and I also clean out the drain.
You
and I
know,
get all
the things
hair.
you do for the people is, it's like, I think we'll leave it right there. And you guys just know there's a guy out there pulling for you. His name is Brian Reichel, and you can find him at Redban, Deathsquad.tv, shopsquad.com or .tv? .tv. And, bless
Joe Rogan
all you
podcast.
goddamn people.
See ya.
And yeah, you can maybe check out some folks that are interested on Joe Rogan podcast. Brian Reichel, original producer of that show and innovator and creator and animal lover. Don't let all the harsh words fool you. All right.